I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too, man. I just wanted to kind of touch base. I'm here more with the intention of listening.
Okay.
So tell me how you're doing.
Yeah. Today I'm doing better than yesterday for sure. I think that discussion with Naomi and Jobin was really helpful. I've been able to deploy that a few times today, actually, in checking to see if people had the time for the consult or letting them know a ballpark range if they just cared about the quote. And I've had a few people tell me today that like I was really professional and I don't know, just like other admiration, which only happens when I'm actually doing a good job.
Mm.
That's not to prop myself up. It's more like when people recognize that we are just being human with them and that they feel confident because they recognize our confidence, that's when we will typically hear those things. So yeah, I think I was just off my game a little bit over the course of the last week or so because I kept the consultant's parent sheet up in a tab, and I would check it after every single consult. And as soon as you get a no, and then if you get another no, and then another no, it's like, oh, what am I doing wrong? And then you get in your own head, and it kind of spirals out of control a little bit. And today, I think I closed three deals. Yeah, but I offered like 6 or 7 consults. So my numbers are still not exactly where I'd want them to be. However, I feel really good about, I don't know, I'd say 6 of those 7 conversations. Whereas in the past week, I felt good about like half of them, maybe even less. So yeah, I do want to stay on top of the recognition and awareness of the objections and the way I handle them and just staying positive and kind of taking Ellie's approach to everything. Um, but at the same time, like I do want to close these leads as well. And yeah, the thing I'm finding is that a lot of people are willing to price shop despite what I say, which makes sense. Like, look, you're trying to get the best possible deal here, but um, I don't know. I'm still not sure what more I could or should be doing to push through that in a natural way that makes sense for how RLF wants to present its services, and that makes sense for how I would kind of convey that through my salesmanship. Um, so that's really the biggest thing for me. But at the same time, I don't know. I checked the numbers again today. Just like I have not been scrolling up to the top, but I did after like a few calls because I wanted to see where I was at. And I saw that everyone was down this week, and I don't want to say it made me feel better, but it did kind of like give me some sigh of relief that okay, it's not just me. Like maybe something this week has been going on because we all have kind of down numbers right now. Um, yeah. Anyway, I'm kind of rambling, but that's sort of what's going on in my head. I definitely feel better today than yesterday and last week, and some of the conversations where they say they're doing well but they don't close, I do want to be able to find a way to get them over the hill on that first conversation. So yeah, those are the key takeaways, I think.
I think rambling is good in this type of conversations. That you get to kind of untangle what you're dealing with on your own.
Mm.
So I do notice certain intensity in how you're feeling about it. So I'd like to discuss that
Well, yeah,
particularly.
well, I want to be successful and I want to keep a job. I see a few people getting let go after being here for 4 years. It's like, I'm not saying it raises all the alarms, but at the same time, like, look, I got a family, man. Like, I can't not perform and I can't
Yes,
do
sir.
a job also. And I'm not even converted yet. I'm still a contractor. So yeah, it's hard not to be keenly aware of that on every single call because I want to go into it being like, I'm going to close this lead, right? But that's what I meant with the confidence being shaken a bit is like, I didn't really change my methodology and I was killing it at the beginning of the month. And like I was saying yesterday, and then I had like 30 consults in a row where I was closing one of five and it was just, okay, am I really doing what I think I'm doing? Like, how's this going to affect me? How is this going to look in terms of employment and finances and all this stuff? And then also, um, yeah, I mean the comp is not it's not high, it's not low, it works for right now, but it only works if I can close also, right? So I want to close, Aldo, you know?
Yes, sir.
Um, yeah, yeah.
Very, very. I'm so glad we're having this conversation. By the way, I think this is what I wanted to get at, like the real nitty gritty, right? The underlying emotions, because at the end of the day, they reflect on the calls. So I think that the fact that we're just externalizing them and just being fully transparent, it's very, very, very helpful. And so first of all, I'll tell you in regards to your job, because I know what Noah's being let go is was going to create, and it did, just by hearing you out.
Yeah,
But just so you know, you're not part of that conversation whatsoever.
I get that might be the case now,
Hmm.
but even if that's so, you know, what if this happens again next month, right? Then it's like, would you all even convert me? And that's the calculus going on in my head.
Uh-huh.
Um, it's hard. It's just hard not to think about. Like I'm doing my best to put the blockers on, which is why I think today I've been doing better. I'm just staying zeroed in on the conversation and the client and being
Yes.
attentive to them and listening and seeking to understand and asking the right questions and doing that kind of thing. Uh, but even then, it's like I didn't close all the ones that I thought were close to a lock,
Yep.
and yeah, then you bring out the context of like, hey, it's not going to impact you. Well, yeah, to some extent that's true, but
The,
only
the, I think it's important that you know the feedback that I've received from you, because it's been positive. To the opposite of, for example, Noah or other people in the team, the feedback I've received from you is actually very positive. So it's in the other side of the spectrum, and I know you do have your own expectations, and probably external validation doesn't really this really matter to you, because at the end of the day you're trying to accomplish a financial goal. But
I mean, I do want the firm to be successful also, just to be clear, but I have to look out for number one, which
yep,
is me and my family, right? And
100%.
I know that's probably understood by the team as well. Like Jobin brings it up a lot.
Yep,
I do appreciate the very human and real element of RLF and like recognizing our position,
yep,
but it's still the position that we're in.
yep, yep, yep. So just by talking to you, I can feel your vibe, and without even listening to a lot of calls, I wouldn't doubt that that's also showing up in. By the way, I listened to you live yesterday, and you were sounding great. So I was like, I'm wondering if this is because of the conversation that we had, or if it's been like this for the past week. Which I'm happy to dig deep into it if you'd like, but
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's kind of the challenge, right? Is like I was trying to do that self evaluation, and as I mentioned on the call yesterday, there were a few times where I don't know. See, maybe this was me overthinking it. Was I would get on a call with the client, I hear their tone, and immediately I'm like, I don't know about this one.
uh-huh.
Like just that initial crack in the foundation
Yep.
because I've heard that same tone in other clients before, and I can almost hear that as soon as they hear the price, they're gonna hang up. where they're
Yeah.
going to be like, oh, okay, that's too much,
Yep.
or whatever it might be. Or
Yep.
if it's hard to understand someone,
Yep.
then it's like, okay, I have to be really intent about listening, but then I'm probably going to have to ask them follow-up questions or the same question multiple times, and it's going to break up the flow. And then when I get to the ask, they're just going to hear the number, and then they're just going to go shop around for the number, right?
Yep.
So I felt like that's my evaluation of myself over the past week without really looking into it that much further. Um, and I'd imagine the call that I had before that, I was less concerned with those things. So yeah, I don't know what the transition was other than just a string of no's. Um, and then it just kind of piled, you know? Yeah, yeah. Sorry. Again, I think I kind of rambled there, but
Is the purpose of this, huh? So no
yeah.
problem.
Oh, right.
This is the space.
Right. Your point was about listening to my calls. Like, yeah, I if you have the time, I'd invite you to check some out that didn't close especially, and maybe you can give me your read on whether you think my analysis there is accurate or if there's anything else that you would call out.
Yep.
Because I would like to know, especially from y'all's perspective,
Yep.
because I've only been doing this not even 2 full months, I think.
Yep.
And you've dealt with thousands of more calls and dozens of people doing this job, so you have a much deeper well of knowledge than I do.
Yep. Um, I just wanted to kind of address the root cause because everything else that I will be listening to on the calls is just like a symptom, right? It's not the root cause.
Yeah.
So I can see that the root cause was pretty much rooted in fear of am I gonna be let go? Am I gonna meet my financial goals? Would this be accurate?
Uh, I don't think it's inaccurate. Yeah, I don't know. Probably. I guess I haven't really thought about it till right now. I don't know I mean the job status is one thing, but it's if I'm making money, then the job status is going to be there, right? So it's
Mhm.
not really that. Um, I guess it is more of the hey, am I going to be able to provide? Am I going to make enough money for my family, right? And to some degree, am I going to be able to create long-term opportunity for myself here as well? Because I'm happy to do this job for as long as is required, but I would ultimately like the opportunity to explore other things, and I know that only comes with success in this position as well. So there is an element of me wanting to create just a broader horizon for myself at this firm, and that only comes through success in this role. So yeah, it's multifaceted for sure, but it comes with consideration for the opportunity and consideration for income.
Got it. And that's something that I also want to talk about because we discussed it since your interview. So and I think we're on the right track for that. And I'm pretty sure you've already kind of had enough time to identify what are our areas of opportunity and what things you could do to bring value to the firm in other areas outside of sales.
Yeah, I mean, I've thought about it a little bit, but I have been trying to focus more and more on this
Got
position.
it.
Yeah,
Okay, that's good. That's good. So
I don't want to get distracted, right?
got it.
Because then my performance would suffer, and then none of that would manifest anyway. So
Okay. Okay.
it's kind of in the back of my mind, but it was more so when I started, and now that I've gotten more into like focusing on sales, I'm very focused on this.
Yes, sir.
It's not to say that the desire has gone away. It's just the focus has shifted.
Let me ask you a question. This is a question that I would like you to use not so much your thoughts or your logical, but more your body and trying to kind of feel.
Okay.
How would you label how you feel?
Uh, hmm.
Yeah, remember, it's not so much thinking. It's
Well,
it's more noticing.
how do I feel? Hmm. I'm not trying to think about it. I'm trying to tap into the feeling, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can just close your eyes and being fully transparent because it's very evident that it's intense.
Yeah, I mean, maybe a little, I don't know about nervous, like maybe insecure, right? Insecure is definitely part of it. Um, uh, Frustrated is like, yeah, kind of frustrated. Not necessarily with RLF. I the CRM is like actually kind of a sticking point for me. Just the tooling that we use generally does make it harder for us to do our jobs, and that kind of sucks. uh, just because it makes it harder for me to like close on calls sometimes. Like the CRM crashed when I was in the middle of a discussion, so I'm trying to troubleshoot the CRM while I'm also trying to like answer questions from this person. So I'm taking notes in like a new tab, and yeah, and that happens regularly. The CTM is broken quite a bit too, but it's more so that's just like a little bit of frustration. It's really not the biggest deal. It's more frustration with myself also and my performance, and that kind of ties directly into the insecurity component of things. And then the compensation is like it's really hard. It's really hard because it's low, um, whether or not I'm closing, and that's also really difficult. So I'd be lying if I said there wasn't some frustration there, but I understand it is what it is, and like I accepted this position knowing what I was going into. Doesn't change the fact that I'm not frustrated,
Hmm.
but it's that's also how I feel. So that's if I'm not thinking about it, I'm being transparent with you. I'm sharing that's how I feel.
Okay, perfect. I think it's good to bring it to your awareness, right? Because then you're doing the job, and you're like, man, I'm going through all of this, but I'm also not 100% satisfied whether I close or not.
Yeah, I mean, there is some good. Like I do feel pretty confident in talking about our services now, and that's part of what I want you to challenge me on after listening to the calls. At least for traffic services, like I have a good idea of why someone would come to us and what we offer. Um, I don't know. Perhaps I'm reading too much into that though, because maybe I don't really fully understand it. You know, because clearly if I'm not selling, then maybe I'm not like presenting that well, or maybe I don't understand perfectly, or whatever it might be. So um, I don't want to say confused is another feeling I have, but maybe it ties into that insecurity of like ambiguity as to whether or not I am presenting things in the best way. Um, yeah, yeah. So insecure, somewhat frustrated, somewhat ambiguous. uh, I'm somewhere in there, but also like a little bit confident in terms of what I'm selling and how I'm selling it, which kind of directly is at odds with everything else I just mentioned. So yeah.
Got it. Now, last month when you, let's say, were closing, were you feeling this as well, like feeling of insecurity?
Not necessarily because I knew that I had a lot of room because I was still just coming out of the training process.
Got it. So what's changed?
Well, now it's my second month, right?
Hmm.
Like the training for traffic consults, most traffic consults is done. That has completed, at least like the base level, right? So now it's like, hey, you're out in the ocean, you either sink or swim, you know. No training wheels, nothing like that. Yeah.
Got it.
So
Uh,
the spotlight is on me, and by extension us, but spotlight's on me now.
Got it. So your internal dialogue, does it go throughout the entire day?
Man, every second of my life, Aldo, and it's just how my brain is wired. Not necessarily with RLF, but like very hard to turn the volume down in my brain generally. I have ADHD, it's you learn to have the volume at full blast on 5 different channels and also focus on the thing that you're doing right now. It's extremely difficult to live with. But yeah, that's just how my brain works.
So when you're frustrated, that internal dialogue, would you say is kind of torturing you?
Um, Torturing might be a strong word, but it's something I notice when I notice it. If that makes sense. Like if I am not doing a good enough job at kind of setting it off to the side, then it is very much just there and loud.
Got it.
Yeah.
And how do you think that will reflect in your communication?
I mean, not well. you know, uh, I'd probably come across as less patient, um, less inviting and welcoming as well. That was a big change I tried to make today. Like being less matter of fact and being more conversational. That's the tone shift that I was going for. Um, yeah, so shorter and more direct is probably how I come across when I'm feeling that frustration or that nervousness or anything like that.
And how do you normally deal with that?
I go for a walk or exercise or be with my son for a bit. Just anything that brings me joy where I can disconnect from the thing that is on my mind in a negative way.
All right. And have you been doing those things lately?
Yeah, outside of work.
Like working out or going out for a walk or being with
Yeah,
your
yeah.
son?
Every day after I'm done here, I hang out with my son and we always go on adventures like on a daily basis.
Got it. Now, the thing is that when it matters is when you're on the phones.
Exactly.
So how do you deal with that during your work shift?
Sometimes I'll set myself as a way and just pace around the room, or just close my eyes. I've got a bed over here. I'll just lay on the bed sometimes and just try to like breathe it out. Um, I'll sketch for a second. Honestly, I just try to like separate my mind from what's happening here. It doesn't always work, which is part of the challenge. Um, I don't know of a good workaround. I've been trying to find something for that for a very long time now, and that's been a real challenge for me. But I know the things that can usually help me just like sort of calm my mind down, and I try to do those.
Got it. Have you ever tried meditation?
I've tried meditation. I have not stuck with it. New habits are challenging for me to pick up, but well, not to pick up. They're hard for me to be consistent with. So like I'll do breathing, but as far as like guided meditation or actually just sitting down and meditating, it's not something I do regularly right now.
Got it. Do you think that's something that would help you
Oh yeah, almost certainly. Yeah, for sure.
and would probably result in a financial gain for you?
I don't want to go that far, but it would help calm me down when I'm feeling frustrated, I think. And that could lead to financial gain, right? So indirectly, yeah.
Got it. Indirectly, but ultimately it would achieve the purpose. Well, it
I
might
mean,
be
I don't know if I can say that with certainty though, right? Because I don't know if it is just that. That's the thing. I don't know if that is if that would solve for like if that's the cure to the root ailment.
right. Got it. Yep. So I don't think it's the only one, but I can tell you that just from talking to you that it might be playing a factor into it because I do see a very high level of frustration. Um, I've had many of these conversations, by the way, with many people. So I've become very, let's say, empathetic in identifying when I see somebody who's very frustrated, and and I usually address that first prior to going into technique
Yeah.
because especially if you were closing before. because I'm like, okay, he knows what he's doing, but he's just going through a hard time because how come before he was closing and right now he's not? So, and that's usually the sticking point because a lot of people are like, man, I'm doing the same things, but I'm not getting the same results.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe your pitch is the same, but your vibe is not.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So first I try to figure out ways in how we can fix the vibe. And usually it helps a lot to have these conversations because it's a way for you to vent. Because uh, especially, I don't know about you, but me as a man, it's hard for me to kind of find somebody where I can externalize what's going on in the job. And I imagine if I had a family, the last thing I would want to do is talk to my wife about it because now she's going to be concerned and now I have double the trouble.
I actually do talk with my wife about this stuff. She's extremely helpful. So I'm very blessed in having that relationship with her.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah. So I mean, she's not a man, but
Yep.
she does help me with those kind of conversations a bit.
Got
Uh,
it.
yeah. But I don't know. I guess to your point, like, there's not really anyone I can commiserate with here at RLF unless we bring it up during a meeting.
Yeah, no, I think I would be the right person to actually vent about this, and break it down and kind of untangle the all the thoughts that are going in your head.
Yeah.
And what I meant when I say as a man is that sometimes we're taught not to listen to our emotions. It's just kind of inherent to the culture, at least here in Mexico. Like,
Yeah. I was mostly raised by my mom, and my dad is like kind of in my life, but he's more of a friend than a father figure. So I don't
got
know. I suppose I've been more in touch with my feminine side throughout
got
my
it,
life, if
got it.
that makes sense. Um, but I do get what you mean. And, I have those kind of male relationships, but we generally don't talk about like frustrations at work, that kind
Got
of
it.
thing.
Got it.
Mostly because I don't find it interesting.
Mhm.
Outside of the context of the workplace. Like here, it's relevant to what we do, so I'm happy to talk about it.
Yep.
But I'm not going to go to a rugby match and talk with my rugby club buddies and be like,
Yep.
"Oh man, I just didn't close that sale at
Yep.
work." That's just, I don't know. That's just not me, at least.
And they're not gonna get it, right, because they're not in the same context,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
But here, a lot of people used to really wonder, like, Aldo, why do you talk about those things? Because I used to have like boxes of tissue, like Kleenex,
Mm,
because people would cry all the time in my office. Like literally, I would have to buy every week. I would have to buy, and I know it's part of the job because sales is a very emotional job. And if you don't address that, then it hurts the bottom line. So it's not only the emotional side; it's also the money part.
yeah,
For everybody, for the salesperson and also for the company. I would say it's a priority item. So when people are feeling frustrated, like I know I have to get on it. Like the only reason I haven't had these conversations with you is because uh, every time I would reach out to you, no, I'm doing okay, I'm doing okay. So I was like, maybe it's not necessary for me to.
I felt that I was.
Yep,
I was doing okay.
yep. But yesterday when I saw you, I was like, oh no, he's not. He's not doing okay. So let me go ahead and just have a call, like
Yeah.
a private call, because uh, these are also the type of conversations that I really don't think are best done in a group setting because
Mm,
these need to be addressed privately for obvious reasons, right?
yeah.
So that's the reason I decided to reach out. Now, obviously, we're going to talk about the technique and all of that when the time comes, right? But I would like to ask you now that you have kind of verbalized it and become maybe a little bit more aware about the emotional part of it. I would like to ask you if there are any realizations after these conversations that you've had.
Well, I mean, after this conversation in particular, I feel like some stress has been relieved, which means I was feeling stressed to some degree. So that's probably the biggest one.
And even if that was the only one, it's one that could result in better results.
Yeah.
Usually when we're very focused on the outcome, like, oh, I'm not closing, this guy's not gonna close, this guy not, what tends to happen, it becomes like a snowball effect. This one doesn't close and we feel frustrated, and because we feel frustrated, the next one doesn't close, and that makes us feel even more frustrated. So it's like a snowball effect, right?
Yeah, focusing on process over outcome is what I feel like I did today, and I think that's something I need to be mindful of moving forward, um, just so that I don't end up in that negative snowball again. Because if I do everything that I can do that I feel like I gave my best on, even if that doesn't net out, I'll still feel good about my process, right? And if there's opportunity to coach there, then you or Jobin or whoever else might let me know. Um, but yeah, if I look at the number and then the number is not going the way I want it to, and I feel like I did everything I could, then that's how you end up with a negative effect anyway. Um, and then the last thing is I agree with you on the meditation. That would be a good practice to pick up again. Just step away for 10 minutes and, you know, collect myself, breathe, get rid of distracting thoughts, that sort of thing. Um, so yeah, I'll see how I can add that to my tool set whenever I need to in a given day.
There is an app called Headspace.
Oh yeah, I have a lifetime subscription to Calm actually.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
perfect. So you're familiar with what this is about, like,
yeah, yeah. I mean, I've been like there was a period of my life where I meditated daily for many months at a time, and life circumstances changed. I think COVID really threw things off for that.
mhm.
And when I've had different employment circumstances like that kind of changes things. But good recognition to be aware of how I can reincorporate that into my life and just have that calm and that resonance and maybe loosen up on the intensity of the role a little bit. Um, yeah,
Yeah, so what meditation does is that it brings your attention from your thoughts to your body.
yeah,
So when you bring your attention to your body, all of a sudden you start noticing how you feel. And why is that helpful on the phones? Because if you notice how you feel, then you're able to adjust your communication accordingly. You're
mm,
like, oh, look at that. I'm very frustrated. Look at that. I'm impatient.
yeah,
Okay, let me bring it back to my body and focus on my ears. Let me tell you why. Because when we're so focused on the outcome, we're not listening to the customer anymore.
mm,
We're just like, oh, I need to get this sale. I need to get this sale. And the customer can sense that
yeah,
100%, that you're not paying attention to them, but you're just trying to, are you going to buy or not? Are you going to buy or not? And then what are they going to do? Like, oh, this guy doesn't have the patience to actually care about my problem, listen to my problem. So I'll just go for the price because this guy doesn't even have the patience to listen to me. So,
yeah,
and it's not something that you necessarily will externalize or verbalize to them, but they can feel it in your vibe. Like,
yeah,
oh, this guy's getting impatient just by listening to me.
for sure.
And I was listening to a couple of your calls, and in call tracking metrics, like you can see blue and pink to whoever is speaking, right?
Yeah,
And I would see like pink, only Zach speaking. So without me even going deep into like, oh, let me listen to it, like
yeah,
immediately I was like, oh, okay. So he's not listening to the customers at all.
mm,
That may also play a little part into it, right? I mean, you don't want to listen to me. How do I know that you as a consultant know what I need if you're not listening, if you're just
yeah,
trying to tell me what you want me to hear, and just focus on your pitch. And usually when you listen to people, you don't have to pitch that much because they're like, once you that's why one of the first coachings I gave you is recap, right? Because when you do your recap, what that does is it immediately creates rapport because they're like, oh, he gets it, he knows exactly what I need, so I trust him. That's the purpose of the recap, and it makes everything else go much more smoothly
mm,
when you're pitching because they know you understand.
yeah, yeah. I employed that a few times today. It my take on it is not necessarily to just like regurgitate what the person just told me, but to acknowledge what they just told me or to ask them follow up questions, so just to get them to know that I am listening. and to make sure that I have context for like how I can present the conversation. But I had two people tell me on the phone today, like after going through the consult, they said like, I'm sold, let's move forward. I was like, okay, cool. So that was a good conversation then, right? And yeah, I think that was a key difference between today and when you might have listened to those calls. I actually gave room for the people to speak instead of just like going through the script. And yeah, that's really
Correct.
where things come from.
And now there's an art to do the recap because I've been obligated to do a recap in previous employments, and I know it could be annoying if you do it in the wrong way, if you just like say back. But the art of doing recap is that you emphasize what they emphasize and use the exact same words to emphasize it. So for example, they tell you, and and I'm so worried that my insurance is gonna go up. Then I would put that on my notes. If they put emotional emphasis on it, I would definitely put that on my notes because that's gonna be the hot button that I will use to close the sale. So, okay, got it. So you got this ticket, and if I understood correctly, you're very concerned about your insurance going up on this
Yeah.
one. Oh yeah. So immediately they know what the priority is and that you're aware of the priority. So that might be helpful right now, the listening part of it.
Yeah.
Now, in regards to the price, let me tell you, every single sales consultant that I've spoken to in the team has told me the same thing.
Yeah.
It's the price, the reason I cannot close. They're just price shopping. And then I listen to how they're pitching the price, and I'm like, all right. And, and here's the thing: when you're getting so many rejections, your brain gets conditioned to kind of expect that. It's like, oh, here we go. Because since it creates a high, like a emotional impact on you, your brain will remember that. So it's like, oh my god, they're just gonna say no. But you're conditioned like that, and usually you can feel it if there's not too much rapport at first in the call, because if there's no rapport, no matter what you say, it's not gonna go well. But let me tell you that rapport can be built just on your vibe. Like on the first 4 seconds, they can tell if you want to be there.
Yeah.
And if they're like, oh, he's just not happy to be at work, no matter what you say after those 4 seconds, it's not gonna work because they're not gonna feel the vibe. And I've heard calls, for example, Naomi, by the way, that in the first 4 seconds you will feel her vibe, and all of a sudden it doesn't matter what she does after that. There's
Yeah.
already a connection and there's already trust
For
there.
sure.
So it has to do with rapport. It has to do with, so every step of the call flow matters, right? But also I wanna listen to how you're presenting price, right? For example, Naomi, what she will do to present price, um, she will say, she will emphasize it's a one-time flat fee. We don't charge by the hour. It covers you from beginning to end. And then, so she hypes it up and then she provides the price, right? There are other strategies. For example, one mistake that I was seeing Leo do is that he was giving the 10% discount right off the bat and the payment plan right off the bat. So if pricing is the area of opportunity, we can create strategies around that, right? So we just started at the biggest price with the payment plan, but you don't tell them it's going to be in two payments, right? And then you tell them the payments, and then you tell them the 10%. Like, well, your due date is by Friday. I can see if you can qualify for the 10% discount, but I'm not sure because of your due date. Let me go ahead and check. Boom. And that's how you do it. Now, but yesterday you were mentioning something very important, and we'll wrap it up with this. I don't want to make this too long right now because this was not so much a strategy session. It was more of me listening to what you need. But just I'll give you just one golden nugget here. Um, when they ask about the price, is because they're not focused about the other price. What is the other price?
the cost to them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when they tell you about the price, you could use what Naomi said yesterday. Okay, we have a range in price. So let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a few questions to calculate the price that is the right price for you.
Yeah.
So now you ask the questions, right? So if not paying a lawyer money is the priority to you, you have the option to represent yourself. Now, if for some reason you are not successful, you only have a 10% chance of winning, then the cost would be your insurance, the DRA, and done. Now, if you hire a lawyer, this would be the rate. Oh, but you know what? I found a lawyer that is cheaper. At the end of the day, we don't really compete with price, right? Because we're not starting out. We've been around for 20 years. Like, we cannot charge what somebody who's starting out can charge, because obviously we would not be able to handle a lot of business, right? Because of our demand, right? When you have so much experience, it's like when you go to a surgeon, right? Are you going to be worried about the price, or that he gets it right? So those are just some takeaways that I could give you. It's just like shifting the attention back to the other price that they will have, or even giving them the option to represent themselves, but making them aware of the risk and the price, right?
Mm.
But anyway, we'll talk about that in detail later, because in order for me to have that conversation, I need to know how you're presenting price. Right now, the main priority that I wanted to address right now was the emotional side of it, and I think we kind of have a few ideas. Now let's start thinking how we're gonna resolve that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
All right. We'll continue later. Thank you, Zach.
Thanks, Aldo.
Okay. Bye.
Take care.